He is authentically about others and not about himself. Don't think he's not competitive, because he is. Extremely competitive. He always wants to win. He wants to do it the right way.
23 game-winning drives, 17 of those in the last 2 minutes or in overtime. That's an exciting thing. And then besides all that, he was also the humble and hardworking guy that everybody wanted their quarterback to be. So he was the answer to everything.
Even my mom, she was more of a fan of Roger Staubach than me. And she couldn't believe I'm playing with Roger Staubach. Wow, you know, God is good. He done blessed you, boy.
He's a man of character, of wisdom, and great wit, and just a great person. And then the fact that he happens to be a great athlete, that's just icing on the cake.
Roger Staubach was born on February 5, 1942, in Cincinnati, Ohio, to Robert and Elizabeth Staubach. Early on, he was a multi-sport athlete, excelling in baseball, basketball, and football. He showed particular promise in football after joining the Naval Academy in 1961.
I first heard about him because we had this young man in the freshman, called him Plebe at the Naval Academy. And I mean, I knew that he was a great athlete, but off the field, very humble, very modest, and then just does things out on the football field that just so remarkable.
Roger stepped into the starting position in 1962 when he led the NCAA in passing with a completion percentage of 67.3% and led Navy to an upset win over their rivals, Army.
Phenomenon of the day is Roger Staubach. Staubach twists and turns, feints and fakes to avoid Army tacklers.
In 1963, he had a breakout season as a junior, leading Navy to a 9-1 record and to the Cotton Bowl, en route to winning the Heisman Trophy, awarded each year to the best college football player in the country.
He was the last of the military academy football players to win the Heisman Trophy. And so that was a big deal at the time, obviously.
It was announced that he would get the Heisman Trophy, and he got up on the locker, in their locker room on a bench and says, and I'm gonna carve it up in 44 pieces, give every one of you guys a piece of that Heisman Trophy. Hey Roger, we're still waiting for that piece of the trophy, but we're all so happy that he had it. I mean, it was like we got it ourselves.
Roger was drafted by the Dallas Cowboys in 1964. However, due to his commitments to the Navy, it would be some time before he got to Texas.
And so he had a 4-year service obligation, and of that, during that time, he spent 13 months in Vietnam, in Da Nang, as a logistics supply officer there. And so it was not until 1969 that he was eligible to resign his commission and join the Dallas Cowboys.
And so that made him fairly popular with people in the 60s, as you might imagine, pretty tumultuous decade. And here's a guy willing to serve in the military. Not only that, he elected to serve a tour of duty in Vietnam.
Roger joined the Cowboys in 1969 as a 27-year-old rookie. He spent the first couple of seasons as the backup quarterback to Craig Morton. In the 1971 season, Coach Tom Landry gave Roger the chance to compete for the starting position.
Dynamic leadership is probably the most important trait a quarterback has. He has to exemplify the type of attitudes that cause players to follow him.
The next year, after Tom Landry kind of went back and forth between two quarterbacks, he eventually settled on Roger as his starting quarterback in 1971. They go to the Super Bowl and they win. Cowboys fans immediately fell in love with him. And so he became a hero.
Roger was the consummate leader, okay? Coach Landry trusted him immensely. And Coach Landry didn't give that, privilege to a lot of players.
Roger had a number of exhilarating plays during his career, with none more famous than one he made on a cold December day in Minnesota, 1975.
So Roger hut 1, hut 2, Golden's taking off. Roger pumps Golden. I come off the line, run that turn in. When I brought my hands around, the ball hit my hands and it went through my hands. I ended up catching the ball with my elbow and my hip. And I looked down and I said, oh Lord, I caught the ball and backed the rest of the 5 yards into the end zone.
He got it! Touchdown!
And Roger's phrase was that I threw the ball as far as I could, I closed my eyes, and I said a Hail Mary. And that's when it took off.
In the second half of the 70s, Roger led the Cowboys to the Super Bowl 3 times, winning again in 1978 over the Denver Broncos.
With Roger, as quarterback, we always went to the playoffs. He was that leader, and it made a difference for our football team. So we crushed them after that, ended up winning that Super Bowl.
Dallas has defeated Denver. Way to go, way to go!
That was the big thrill, because now that's the climax of everything that you've done through that season.
The Cowboys didn't become America's team until the 70s when Roger was the quarterback. They went to the Super Bowl 5 times in the 70s, and so that was one of the reasons why they were as popular as they were.
After a relatively short yet productive playing career, Roger retired from the NFL after his 10th season.
Things I'm really going to miss in football is the thrill of the pass completion, the touchdown, and the thrill of victory. The thrill of victory is fantastic.
He was 6 times a Pro Bowl quarterback. When he retired in 1979, his passer rating was the best all-time of any quarterback. And so by 1985, barely when he'd even been eligible for the vote, he was voted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
While he had been the Cowboys quarterback, Roger had been quietly preparing for his second career in real estate, working with Henry S. Miller Realty until 1977, when he co-founded the company that would become the Staubach Company.
When Roger first got in the business, he was working for a development company, and they were trying to sell their individual assets, their office buildings and so forth. So when he created the Staubach Company, Roger had a view and saw that those tenants, the corporates and others, really needed specialized advice. So he was on the forefront of creating tenant representation, which is now, people are highly specialized in the real estate industry today, and Roger was at the front end of that. I joined in 93, and so at that point, I remember it all. We were about $10 million, and then in 2008, when we merged into Jones Lang LaSalle to become a global platform, or part of a global platform, we were over a $500 million business, 50 offices, just Staubach offices. So we had scaled materially, and we were #1 in tenant representation in North America.
After the sale, Roger stayed on as executive chairman until 2018. He continues to be deeply involved with the Cowboys and Texas community to this day.
Oh man, that's a nice throw right there.
He's an example. Roger's been very successful in every aspect of his life. I think I'm a better father. I think I'm a better husband. I think I'm a better partner. I'm better with clients. I'm better for having spent that time with him to this day. Very few people we all meet in life that can do that consistently, and Roger Staubach is one of them.
If I were Roger Staubach and you asked me, what is my legacy, I'm sure Roger would tell you, it's not what I did on the football field. It's not what I did in corporate America. It's what Mary Ann and I did with our family. That's my legacy, and it's his 5 children, his 15 grandchildren, and the 4 great-grandchildren now. I would just say that Roger Staubach is the finest person I've ever known.
So he not only helped me become a great football player, a Hall of Famer, but he also taught me how to be a pro, a professional, how to carry myself. Roger was always there to support us.
Well, I don't know that anyone ever really will have the same kind of legacy that Roger did. Clint Murchison financed the Cowboys. Tex Schramm, Tom Landry, and Gil Brandt built the Cowboys. But Roger was its first real star, and that star never dimmed.
For his leadership and courage serving our country and on the gridiron, and for inspiring millions of fans with his play, tonight we honor Roger Staubach as a history-making Texan.